Welcome again to this week's session. I'm Christy, the founder and director of Well Balance, where it's my mission to help you connect with your people, grow in your understanding of yourself and your ability to connect with others and your people, and to live your best life, your contented life, where you're smashing it in all of the things that you're capable of. So this week this is the last week of a 5-week series that I've been doing on the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence and how you can implement them in your life for success. All the research and the study tells us that emotionally intelligent people are the most successful in life. And you can harness your emotional intelligence. You don't have to be naturally born with it. You can develop it and improve it. So this is the 5th of a series of me just giving some quick hints and tips on what emotional intelligence is and how you can implement some strategies to increase its output in your life. The last pillar of emotional intelligence is your social skills. So pulling it all together, your understanding of yourself and your ability now to influence others and how you go about interacting with people to achieve the outcomes that you want. And I know since you're watching this, you're a really intentional, awesome person who has good intent for the outcomes that you want to achieve with people. When you're working with them, you want the best for them. You want to set some great goals. You want to show them that you believe in them and you are going to help empower them to step up to achieve those goals. You want to interact with your spouse or your personal relationships in a way that's going to bring out the best in those people and achieve a deeper connection and a deeper level of intimacy between you and that person. You've got good intentions for all of that, and using your social skills can help you to bring about the good goals and the good outcomes that you would like to see in your life and your relationships with your team, your home life with your family and with your friends. Managing relationships. Now, I say this in a way where you are not manipulating at all, but you're able to manage and influence your relationships because you're mindful and you're aware of what's going on. Okay, being able to manage relationships starts with you being able to manage yourself in the 4 weeks that I've been talking before this. Those pillars of helping you to understand yourself, where you're at, to be able to regulate yourself, to not be threatened by your weaknesses or things that you could improve in your life, but to be just aware of them and know that everyone has them and, hey, I'm working on them, that attitude. And you can manage your relationships when you come to the people in your life with that attitude. Because I tell you now, if you come to the people in your life with an attitude of defensiveness, and an attitude where you're constantly needing to prove your own self-righteousness and all of those things, it's a recipe for disaster at the outset, okay? So by you sorting out those things in your life, you can come to your relationships, and there's 2 people in a relationship, as you know. You can get the first component working really well, which is which is the first part of guaranteeing success in your relationships. The other part, obviously, is the other person. Now, you can't control everything that other people do, and maybe the people in your life aren't as emotionally intelligent as you are. You can't do a thing about it. You can only work on and be personally responsible for what you can do. However, you can do a great deal to influence those other people by the way you choose to interact with them. So managing relationships, influencing relationships for the good, means that you use all the skills we've been talking about, the empathy, the listening to people, the having a curious approach as to where people are at, not assuming you know where people are at, having a respect for them and coming alongside with them to want and a desire to appreciate where they're at. All of those skills are going to help you manage your relationships or influence them, okay? So you can go into all social situations with an awareness of where you're at and perhaps what your needs or sensitivities are at the time and managing them, and an awareness that you don't fully ever know, understand, or appreciate everything about other people, but that you've got a curious and respectful intention to want to meet them where they're at and to learn about them. If you go into all of your interactions with those intentions, you're going to have success. So manage your relationships with good intentions and influence people by setting the example of how you respond to difficulties in your life. Set that example, and set the example of caring and being curious about others, and they will respond. They will follow your lead. When you're emotionally intelligent and you can read others because you care about them and you're trying to understand and appreciate them, understand and appreciate their motivations, why they're doing things, their certain perspectives, how certain things impact on their lives and where they might be at, that gives you the power to diffuse conflict, whether it's conflict between other people that you are witnessing, or whether it's a conflict between yourself and another person. When you can implement these strategies to be emotionally intelligent, if you are in conflict with another person, you don't have to view that as the end of the world. You don't have to think that you've got to win that conflict or that argument at all costs, otherwise your life is doomed. You've got a bigger perspective than that. You know that your life is not doomed because of one conflict or one perceived loss, okay? You come at a conflict with a much broader perspective that gives you the ability to be calm in a conflict, to not be threatened by it, and to be proactive in how you approach it. Now again, you can't control what the other person is doing. Hopefully they've got high EQ and they're coming at the conflict with you from exactly the same contextual perspective and mentality, where they want to understand your perspective as well. But if they're not, if they're all hot-headed and having a meltdown before your eyes and yelling and screaming at you, you can diffuse that conflict because of that bigger picture that you've got, and the fact that you have these skills to draw on where you don't need to let the emotions that might be welling up in you. It's understandable for anyone. If you're being yelled and screamed at in a really, high, intense, highly emotional conflict, of course you're going to have an emotional response to that. That's absolutely normal, and none of this is about saying you've got to try to stop that from happening. No, that's not what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is understanding that those emotions are going to well up in you. You might have an initial response of fear, anxiety, frustration, anger. It all depends. But you don't have to allow each of those emotions to dictate what then your next move is, how you're going to respond to that. So you can take stock and be calm in a conflict when you have this EQ and this ability to regulate yourself, and come to a conflict with that generous heart where you want to understand the other person's perspective, and you know that the further you increase your understanding of this person, actually the closer it draws you to this person and the less of a divide you will have between you. When there can be mutual understanding, that's when conflicts are diffused and people can come in a much more calmer approach and a collective approach, and being collaborative in how they want to respond to a conflict. Another very important thing about conflict, and when you have EQ and you come at a conflict, you can see that a conflict is about an issue. It might be a situation or a circumstance. You can separate that circumstance and that issue from the person. You don't view the conflict as that person over there. You view the conflict as a mismatch of perspectives between you and the other person about the conflict, about a certain situation, about a certain circumstance. You have got the intelligence and the wherewithal and the confidence and the calm to sit back and separate a problem from that person there. You don't have to get all worked up and aggressive and try to beat that person or win or make sure that that person loses. It's not about that. You come to a conflict with a desire to increase your perspective in understanding that person and to communicate clearly so that that person can understand your perspective better too. That's what you do when you've got EQ. When you've got EQ, you can use, and we would talk about social skills, you've got the ability to communicate with people, like I just said. You can be calm, you can be confident, no matter what's happening, you can be intentional in your communication and the message that you want to get across. So you'll be a good communicator. You won't be rushing into certain situations or responding reactively when you're feeling a certain way. You can take that time to think about and be intentional about the message you want to give, how it may be received, and really tailoring it to make sure you're saying something clearly that you want to convey. You can inspire others. When you have the ability to be calm and in your response and your approach, you can inspire others. You can set a belief in them to raise them to achieve more than maybe they previously believed that they could achieve themselves. You have that ability to motivate them and to really set your belief in them of what you believe they can achieve. If you respect them, if you understand that everyone has something to bring to you that you don't know at all or ever will, you respect every human being for what they can bring. If you come to all your people with that mentality, they'll feel that, they'll know that, and they'll rise to that because they know that you respect them, you appreciate what they have to bring, and they'll want to rise to it. You can be an inspiration. Genuinely connecting with them. Obviously, that's what I'm always about. That's one of my favorite 3 words, connection. Connect with people on a genuine level. When you use those social skills and those abilities to know yourself and to work out what you think might be going on with other people, that's when genuine connection happens, and that's when you can achieve real, genuine success and get genuine buy-in from the people in your life. Get them to buy into the goals and the relationship goals that you want to achieve with them. And building team culture. So in a family or in a workplace, everyone's responsible for their contribution to the team culture. But as a leader, which again, I'm sure you are, if you are listening to this and you want to improve yourself and improve your EQ, you are a leader in whatever environment it is. As a leader, you can take increased responsibility for influencing the culture and doing all of these things for positive, for good, with a generous heart and spirit to serve your people, and really a desire to build them up and draw them out and use your power for good. That's ultimate power as a leader, to really empower your people because you can believe in them and you're not threatened by other people's success. You want that success in your team because that's positivity and connection and true relationships all around you, and that's what you thrive for. Why is it relevant? It's relevant to you because you're a human, I'm a human, we all have humans around us. None of us can get away from that human connection, nor would we want to, please no. Okay, human connection is such a key and crucial part in each of our lives, and I want you to be able to get the best out of your relationships for you and for the people around you. So this whole series around emotional intelligence and how it can impact you is just so vital, because if you can implement these strategies, you can kick some serious goals in your personal life, your work life. Just harness that power that you have for good to achieve success in all you do. So thanks for listening to this whole series. I look forward to your comments, feedback. If you think the whole thing's been crap, that's fine. Let me know. I'll try to improve next time. And if you want to leave any positive comments, leave them down below. Feel free to share as usual if you think someone can benefit from this. And until next week, when we start a new topic, thank you for having me. Thanks for listening. I'm Christy, and my mission is to help you connect with your people, grow in your understanding of yourself and your ability to connect, and live your fullest life. Thank you.